There is a strange kind of power that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't shout. It doesn't dominate. It doesn't try to be seen. And yet, the moment it enters a room, people feel it. Some become awkward, some become defensive, some become cold. Some start competing. Some suddenly dislike you without a clear reason. Some try to humble you before they even know you. And for a long time, you may think the problem is you. Maybe you're too quiet, too serious, too distant, too intense, too hard to read, too confident, too different. But what if the discomfort you trigger in people is not always about something you're doing wrong? What if your presence forces people to confront something in themselves they would rather avoid? That is where this gets deeper, because intimidation is not always about fear of power in the obvious sense. Sometimes people are intimidated by anyone who reflects back what they have not become, what they have not healed, what they have not integrated. Carl Jung believed that people are not disturbed by things merely because they exist. They are disturbed because those things touch something unconscious inside them. That means a person may not react strongly to you because you are arrogant. They may react because your calm exposes their chaos. Your self-respect exposes their desperation. Your authenticity exposes their performance. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your silence exposes their need for noise. Your depth exposes the shallowness they hide behind. And the strangest part is, you may not even realize you're doing it. You may think you're simply existing, simply speaking honestly, simply keeping to yourself, simply refusing to perform, simply walking in quiet self-respect. But to the wrong person that feels threatening, because some people are not intimidated by aggression. They are intimidated by presence. They are intimidated by people who do not need approval the way they do. People who cannot be easily manipulated. People who are not hungry for constant validation. People who don't chase. People who don't overshare. People who see more than they say. People who look like they have already met parts of themselves others are still running from. So in this video, we're going to explore 7 signs you intimidate people without realizing it. But not in the shallow sense, not in the "you're just better than everyone" sense. This is deeper than that. This is about the hidden psychology of why some people react strangely to you, why you trigger envy, discomfort, competition, or weird distance, and why your energy may unsettle people simply because it carries a kind of inner solidity that cannot be easily handled. Because sometimes the reason people act strange around you is not because you are trying to intimidate them. It's because your existence interrupts the story they tell themselves about who they are. 1. People get defensive around you even when you're calm. This is one of the first signs. You say something simple. You ask a normal question. You make an observation. You remain calm in a conversation. And somehow, the other person becomes defensive. Not because you attacked them. Not because you raised your voice. Not because you were disrespectful. But because something about your energy makes them feel seen. And many people do not like to feel seen unless they are in control of how they are being perceived. This is important. A person can tolerate criticism more easily than they can tolerate accurate perception, because criticism can be argued with. But being accurately read, that threatens the mask. If you are naturally observant, emotionally perceptive, or psychologically deep, people often feel that around you before they consciously understand it. They sense that you notice patterns. They sense that you pick up on inconsistencies. They sense that you are not easily distracted by charm, words, status, or performance. So even if you say very little, their nervous system starts reacting. They explain themselves too much. They become oddly tense. They justify things you didn't question. They get irritated by your silence. They act as if they're being judged when all you did was notice. This is the Jungian twist. Your presence may activate someone's shadow. The shadow is everything people hide from themselves: insecurity, envy, dishonesty, weakness, dependency, fear, falseness. And when someone senses that you can see through surfaces, they may become defensive, not because you harmed them, but because they feel less protected by their persona. And that's why some people act uncomfortable around you, even when you're being completely calm. Your calm is not neutral to them, it feels like exposure. 2. People either compete with you or compare themselves to you immediately. Have you ever noticed that some people turn everything into a contest around you? You mention a goal and suddenly they've done more. You share a struggle and somehow they've suffered worse. You say something you're proud of and they instantly need to top it. You walk into a space quietly and they start trying harder to be noticed. That is often not random. That is intimidation transforming into competition. When people feel internally secure, they do not need to constantly size themselves up against others. But insecure people are highly reactive to anyone whose presence makes them aware of their own unfinished work. And sometimes it has nothing to do with what you said. It's the way you carry yourself, the way you don't beg for attention, the way you seem comfortable in your own skin, the way you are not trying too hard, the way you don't seem desperate to prove your worth. That energy is deeply unsettling to people who built their identity on comparison, because if your worth feels internal, they lose the game they were hoping to play. Jung would say that what we admire or resent in others often points to disowned parts of ourselves. So when someone instantly competes with you, it may be because your presence activates a painful awareness. You remind them of who they wish they were, or who they fear they are not. That doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean you're superior. It means something about you creates contrast. And insecure people do not handle contrast well. They need sameness, predictability. People who make them feel safely above, or at least equal, but if your energy disrupts that internal ranking system, they often respond by competing, not because you started a war, but because your existence made their insecurity visible to themselves. 3. Your silence makes people reveal too much. This is a powerful sign most people miss. If you intimidate people without realizing it, one thing that often happens is this. People talk too much around you. They over-explain, overshare, reveal more than they intended, fill every silence, try to control the impression they're making, say things they later regret. Why? Because silence is psychologically powerful. Most people are deeply uncomfortable with it, especially if the silence belongs to someone who feels composed, observant, and emotionally self-contained. Your silence creates a mirror, and many people panic in front of mirrors. They start trying to manage what you think. They start performing. They start talking just to reduce their own discomfort. They try to decode your face. They wonder if you noticed something. They try to win you over, or disarm you, or impress you, and the more centered your silence is, the more chaotic they may become. This is why some people mistake quiet confidence for intimidation. Because when you're not constantly explaining yourself, reassuring others, performing friendliness, or filling space with nervous energy, people project onto you. They assume you're judging. They assume you're superior. They assume you're cold. They assume you're unreadable. But often, you're just not leaking your energy everywhere. And that alone makes people uneasy. Jung understood that projection fills the spaces where self-awareness is absent. So when you are quiet, people often project their own fears into the gap. If they feel insecure, they imagine you're criticizing them. If they feel inferior, they imagine you're above them. If they feel dishonest, they assume you can see it. If they feel unseen in their own life, they desperately want your attention. That's why your silence has such an effect. It is not empty. It has weight. And people who are not at peace with themselves often become louder in the presence of someone who is. 4. People call you intimidating when you're really just self-respecting. This one is huge. A lot of people are not actually intimidated by power. They are intimidated by boundaries. They are intimidated by people who cannot be easily guilted, rushed, seduced, manipulated, or emotionally controlled. If you say no without over-explaining, if you walk away when something feels off, if you don't chase people who are inconsistent, if you don't beg to be included, if you don't laugh just to fit in, if you don't shrink yourself to make insecure people comfortable, many will call that intimidating. But often, what they really mean is, I can't access you the way I access others. That threatens people, especially those who are used to reading everyone's weaknesses quickly. If they can't make you overreact, can't make you perform, can't make you abandon yourself to keep peace, then they start labeling your self-respect as arrogance, coldness, or intensity. This happens all the time. A person who abandons themselves for approval gets called nice. A person who has standards gets called difficult. A person who explains themselves constantly gets called sweet. A person who values their peace gets called hard to approach. Why? Because psychologically, many people are more comfortable with accessibility than integrity. They prefer the version of you that is easy to bend. Jung might say this is where collective expectations clash with individuation. The more you become yourself, the more threatening you become to people who rely on social masks and unconscious games, because your refusal to participate exposes the game. So if people call you intimidating when you're simply clear, honest, grounded, and self-respecting, don't rush to assume you're the problem. Sometimes what intimidates others is simply the fact that you are not available for psychological invasion. 5. People secretly study you more than they support you. This is one of the darker signs. When you intimidate people, they often become strangely interested in you. Not openly supportive, not warmly curious, just watchful. They monitor what you're doing. They notice your movements. They observe your wins. They keep up with your life quietly. They may not celebrate you, but they definitely pay attention. They may act indifferent, but they remember details. They may not clap for you, but they track your progress. Why? Because intimidation creates fixation. Especially in people who feel challenged by your presence. They want to understand you, measure you, find your weakness, figure out whether you're really as solid as you seem, catch you slipping, reduce the mystery, make you ordinary. This doesn't always come from hatred. Sometimes it comes from fascination mixed with insecurity. You represent something they cannot easily categorize. Maybe your confidence seems natural. Maybe your growth is undeniable. Maybe your discipline is confronting. Maybe your authenticity unsettles them. Maybe the way you carry pain without advertising it makes them curious. Maybe your life reflects a kind of internal strength they have not developed. So they watch. And this is where Jung's idea of projection becomes powerful again. People often become obsessed with what they have not integrated in themselves. If you embody something they crave but fear, they may orbit you in strange ways. Not close enough to love you honestly, not far enough to leave you alone. That is why intimidating people often experience odd energy, silent envy, quiet monitoring, subtle imitation, backhanded compliments, support that feels forced, or praise mixed with tension. If this happens to you, understand the deeper truth. Some people study what they cannot become honest enough to learn from, and that is not your burden to fix. 6. Your authenticity makes fake people uncomfortable. This one cuts deep. You don't even have to be loud, rebellious, or controversial. Sometimes all it takes is being real. Real in the way you speak, real in what you value, Real in the way you don't change your whole personality to match the room. Real in the way you're not constantly scanning for approval. Real in the way your energy matches your words. And that alone intimidates people who are used to performing. Because fake people survive by reading the room and adjusting constantly. They say what fits. They mirror what works. They wear social masks so often that they barely know who they are beneath them. So when someone shows up with coherence, when their private energy and public energy feel aligned, it creates tension. Why? Because authenticity exposes fragmentation. It reminds people of the split between who they are and who they pretend to be. Jung believed that the further a person is from their true self, the more threatened they become by those moving toward it. This is why deeply authentic people often trigger strong reactions. Not everyone consciously understands what they're feeling. They just know your presence makes them uncomfortable. You make performance harder. You make dishonesty feel heavy. You make shallow interaction less satisfying. You make masks slip. And fake people hate that. They may call you intense. They may say you take things too seriously. They may act like you're too much. But what they often mean is, your way of being exposes my act. That is intimidating. Not because you are trying to challenge anyone, but because truth has a natural pressure to it. And people who live through masks feel that pressure immediately. 7. People dislike you before they truly know you. This is probably the most painful sign. There are people who will feel something about you before you've done anything to them. They're cold too fast, dismissive too early, judgmental without evidence, irritated by your presence for reasons they can't explain. And if you've experienced this, it can make you question yourself deeply. You may wonder, did I do something? Am I too distant? Too serious? Too different? Why do some people seem uncomfortable with me from the beginning? Sometimes the answer is simple. You trigger something in them before intimacy ever has a chance to form. Maybe your confidence touches their insecurity. Maybe your looks touch their comparison wound. Maybe your discipline touches their guilt. Maybe your mystery touches their need for control. Maybe your peace touches their chaos. Maybe your independence touches their fear of being unnecessary. Maybe your depth touches how surface level they secretly feel, and rather than becoming curious, they become hostile, because hostility is easier than self-examination. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Not everyone dislikes you because of what you did. Some dislike you because of what your presence awakens in them. Jung would say that until people confront their own unconscious material, they will keep experiencing it outside themselves, in distorted judgments, irrational reactions, and emotional projections. So when someone dislikes you instantly, don't always assume you're guilty. Sometimes you were simply the screen onto which they projected their unresolved inner conflict. That doesn't mean become arrogant. That doesn't mean assume everyone is jealous of you. It means understand human psychology. People do not always respond to who you are. Often they respond to what you symbolize in their inner world. And if you symbolize confidence, depth, restraint, self-respect, or authenticity to someone who lacks those things, you may intimidate them before you ever speak. Now here is the deeper twist in all of this. If people are intimidated by you, it does not automatically mean you are powerful in the healthiest sense. It may simply mean you carry something they have not made peace with in themselves. And that's important, because this video is not about feeding ego. It's not about walking around assuming everyone is threatened by you. That would just be another mask. The real message is more sobering than that. If your presence unsettles people, your job is not to become cruel, not to become performative, not to inflate yourself. Your job is to stay conscious. To understand that being intimidating is often less about dominance and more about being unwilling to collapse into the false just to make others comfortable. That is different, and it comes with loneliness. Because the people who intimidate others without trying often spend years misunderstanding their own life. They wonder why some people act weird around them, why they trigger competition, why they're quietly watched but rarely deeply understood, why honesty makes others stiffen, why their peace seems to disturb chaotic people, why their boundaries are interpreted as attitude. And the answer is often this: you carry a kind of psychological weight, not because you are perfect, but because you are harder to absorb into the unconscious patterns others rely on. That is why your presence creates friction. So if people get defensive around you, if they compete with you without invitation, if your silence makes them talk too much, if your boundaries get labeled intimidating, if people watch you more than they support you, if your authenticity makes fake people uncomfortable, if some dislike you before they even know you, then maybe you are not imagining it. Maybe you really do intimidate people, but not for the reasons you were taught to think. Not because you're loud, not because you dominate, not because you're trying to make anyone feel small, but because your presence carries something many people find hard to face: clarity, self-possession, depth, restraint, authenticity, and the subtle force of a person who is not easily shaped by the room. And in a world built on masks, performance, approval-seeking, and hidden insecurity, that kind of energy is unsettling. So don't rush to make yourself smaller. Don't rush to soften your truth into something easier to digest. Don't rush to perform harmlessness just because other people are uncomfortable with your presence. Just stay conscious, stay humble, stay grounded, stay honest, stay human. Because the goal is not to intimidate people. The goal is to become so real that those living in falsehood can no longer meet you without feeling the difference. And yes, that difference will cost you. It may cost you shallow approval. It may cost you easy acceptance. It may cost you comfort in certain rooms, but it will also protect you from a life built on pretending. And maybe that is the real lesson here. Sometimes the people who intimidate others most are simply the people who stopped betraying themselves. If this spoke to you, then maybe your presence was never the problem. Maybe it was just too honest for the wrong people. Comment below: my presence speaks before I do.